All right, welcome everyone. We'll call to order our work session for August 3rd, 2021. On the agenda is the topic of Festival Plaza, but we also are going to talk briefly about restriping of the roundabout at the intersection of Century and Langer Farmers Parkway. Kristen, you want to take the point?
Yes, I'm looking and I know Craig is going to be joining us, but I don't see him quite yet. So,
Greg's on.
oh, he's on. Oh, there you are.
I'm on, Kristen.
Blended in with the counselors. Sorry about that.
I know. I thought it was Doug at first with his.
Right. Yeah, I just kind of glanced.
I lost you, Kristen.
Anyways, we have the painting and the striping of the Langer Parkway. You lost me? Can everybody else hear me?
You froze for a second, but you're back.
I can hear you.
I can hear you, Kristen.
Thank you. So we had some questions about the Langer Parkway roundabout this morning and what's going to be occurring. And so I asked Craig to join us and take a look at the diagram and what we had planned for the roundabout and get any feedback that's necessary. And if we need to adjust directions, we would need to do that today, if not in the morning. So Craig, take it away, please.
Sure. Can we get the, Kristen, do you have it, or Mark's got it if you don't?
Yeah, 1 second, I'll get it up.
Okay, thank you. So back in April of 2020, I believe, council had a work session with DKS and our engineering department. And there was a couple different options given at that time. One was the east and westbound lanes, which is what this is showing, being to help with pedestrian traffic as well as some bike traffic, but mainly for pedestrian. And at the time, the cost of that, I think it was estimated about $45,000 to do this work. And the other option was a complete single roundabout from north, south, east, and west. And that estimate time was $250,000 to $400,000. And council, I believe you asked Joe to have somebody go out and actually get a pricing on the lower cost item, which is what we did. They designed this and we went out to bid. So just if you were coming out of Walmart, so on Century on the east side, from about Walmart, it's marked out on the street out there, but from about their driveway approach by Jimmy John's and Michi's, it's going to close off the right turn lane. And then your north and south routes will still stay 2 lanes, and as well as the right lane coming in from Langer Park or Langer Park, that's going to be reduced to 1 lane coming into the roundabout. So those areas that you see with the bold lines and the candlesticks is what they're showing there, all the way around that roundabout will be reduced to 1 lane. So you won't be able to be on the south side or on the north side going towards 12 Sherwood Road. You will not be able to go double lane into that roundabout. It'll be down to a single lane, as well as when you come from Langer Park out to get over like you're going to Walmart, that'll be a single lane in between the southbound lanes going down to Oregon Street. But the north and south is 2 lanes. So that was the recommendation. Now the other recommendation for $250,000 to $400,000 was completely everything down to single lane after a complete traffic study was done to see if the volumes up north and south would qualify for that. So what you see here that's going to happen is about $35,000 worth of new markings going down. I think it's like 35.8. And then we're actually due to actually do some striping work on this roundabout this year. So we're going to be striping the rest of the work. So when it's all said and done, you have white and yellow lines that all look good. Otherwise, you would have had just the thermoplastic on the one side on those areas that show in bold. And it kind of wouldn't look real good. So there was some other recommendations in that council meeting, I believe. Also with some sight distance, which we took care of some of the sight distance. There was some conversation that the recommendation was to purchase some additional right of way that it didn't sound like the council wanted to go to that direction. They wanted to go to the cheapest route we could go here. So, and I think that there was some lighting improvements, but when we really looked into the lighting improvements, it was a recommendation 8 to 10,000. It was more like 25 to 28,000, and really it was going from existing to an LED light is really what it was when you boiled down to making those changes.
Thanks, Craig. Doug, you have a question or comment?
Well, yeah. So I was a bit surprised when I saw this over the weekend or yesterday or whenever it was posted. My recollection, and again, it's been a year and a half, and a lot's happened in that year and a half, as we all know. But my recollection is different. I thought we heavily discussed a third option, which would be to leave the, the concrete and pavement and everything as is, but just restripe the entire thing as a single lane roundabout, but not like completely reconfigure it at that exorbitant cost that you quoted earlier. And that I thought that's what we had agreed to do, was just restriping, at a somewhere under 100,000, I think, total for a one lane all the way around. So I was very surprised to see this posted yesterday. Maybe my memory is way off base, but that's what I thought I remembered. And honestly, if this is what we're going to do, I'd probably just rather leave it like it is. I actually think this is maybe worse than what we currently have. So that's my 2 cents.
Tim's got his hand up.
Yeah, I was surprised as well. And Craig, you guys are doing a great job, and I know you're just the messenger here, but I have the same recollection. I went back and looked at the minutes from the meeting because, if you look at that last paragraph, we specifically asked the question, how much would it cost to restripe down to one lane on roundabout? And I think it's Mr. Mansour replied that it would be about 20 to 25 extra on the package. Just put some numbers behind your recollection there, Doug. So I'm worried that this doesn't solve the kind of the problems that at least I saw, when we originally looked at, and kind of and I'm not a traffic engineer, but I am a parent who's taught my kid how to drive and go through that intersection and watch people drive through there. But the big confusion areas I see is, like, for instance, when you're driving south around the roundabout and you're coming around the roundabout to maybe go on Century Drive, and it goes from one lane to 2 lane there, and then you got 2 lanes stopped in traffic, and people get confused about what lane to go in. Or people going to go to the right, or are they going to continue around the traffic circle? And I've seen plenty of near misses there. So I'm concerned, as Doug is, that this isn't solving the problem that we originally had talked about, and it wasn't my understanding coming out of that meeting. I'll take my hand down now.
Yeah, I remember just supportive of improving it, but I didn't want any, for a lower cost, and not alter the asphalt or the concrete or put up any bollards or anything like that. And certainly the northbound from Old Town on up, you could make that easily one lane without doing anything hardly. But Sean?
I think one issue that I have with this, and I think this may end up being confusing, and I'm not sure that this does solve the problem that we were looking to solve. But I think from a communication standpoint with the public, this diagram is not user-friendly for our public. If we're going to have something up that people are going to understand how this goes, this is not the diagram to do it.
Well, I apologize for that.
Yeah,
Councilor Garland, I apologize for that. Staff put this on there because we were asked to make sure it was on Facebook. I didn't approve it going on here. They were trying to put something on so people could see.
Sure. And I get that. I just really wish we
So-
could have been ahead of the game and
We
really.
could have paid for a rendering like we do on other projects.
Yeah.
We did not do that on this project. That was not provided to us.
Gotcha.
Renee?
Craig, you mentioned, I think I heard you say something about a traffic study if we were to go an alternative direction. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, because they're gonna, before they completely go down to single lane, if that's what they're gonna do, this was a short-term fix. That's what was identified for pedestrians to be able, for crossing of the pedestrians, being able to see them better between the east and west route. It says right in here that if it actually you went to a single lane, they would want to do a traffic study. They would want to do a study on the number of vehicles and everything else to make sure that it actually would work that way.
Who's they, by the way? I'm just trying to understand.
That would be the engineering firm that our engineering department hired.
And is that something that's required by law, or just something that they're saying we should do?
They would be recommending that that's be done because they want to make sure the traffic counts are what they were when they planned it in 2012. They say right in the report that east and west, the traffic counts aren't where they had planned them to be at in 2018 or 17, whatever.
Thank you.
So are they're lower or higher?
They're lower, so that's why they can do that. That's why they can bring it down to one lane on those sides. I mean, council, I thought this was all worked out. All the information was provided. I was told to move forward before we even bid this project. If the council does not want to move forward, I'll work with the contractor tonight so they don't show up on site to do something at 8:30 as their plan tomorrow morning. And then we'll probably be stuck with material cost as well as their labor that go out and mark up the street today to prepare, or yesterday. We'll still have some cost. But if the council don't want to go in this direction, I don't want to go in this direction. I'm just sorry that we got up to the 11th hour because I thought everything was handled on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not pointing fingers anywhere, Craig.
No, I'm not. It's just
what it
frustrating
is,
when you
yeah.
work with contractors and you make them go through the whole,
Totally get it.
and they're fitting this in because it's a small job to try to get it done for us in between two jobs because it's so small, and then we back out. So, and I'm fine with that, but I just need to know a direction. If that's what the council wants, then I'll work tonight with them, and so they don't show up tomorrow to do the work.
So I guess for me, it comes down to, and again, I'm not blaming anyone here either. And so if I came off a little harsh in my initial statement, I apologize. To me, it comes down to, do we think this is an improvement, or do we think this is going in the wrong direction? And if we think it's going in the wrong direction, then we eat the sunk cost and we cancel. And if we think it's an improvement, then we go forward. And we can talk about what to do later. But that seems to me the decision we have to make ASAP, I guess.
Yeah, I thought after that work session, and I also went back and read the minutes last night from that work session, and I thought we had walked away with a single lane idea. And I was rereading it again, and we talked about a package A, which I don't remember what the package A was. I don't have that documentation in front of me, or a hybrid package A of restriping down to a one lane. So I don't know how we walked away with people understanding differently. I guess we didn't vote on anything because it was a work session, but.
Well, it is what it is, and we can chalk it up to a miscommunication. I would like, if we're going to do something, I'd like to get it done right. And I'm just worried that this is, I think, two issues. I mean, again, I'm not a traffic engineer, but it doesn't look like it solves the original problems, and might even create some additional problems for us. And I'd rather spend the time to get it right. Even, and fully recognizing, Craig, that we have some sunk costs that we have to deal with here.
Right. So, Counselor, I think your package A, if I go back through this, was restriping for sight distance, was a single lane. It was a cost at that time, 68 to 70,000, which is going to be higher now, but that was, you had, that was just some restriping only to bring them down to some single lanes. And then you had a single lane permanent reconfigure was 283 to 435,000. And then you had the multi-lane to make some siding, striping improvements with lighting was 62 to 66. That's probably what they're referring to as package A.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I know we talked about not wanting the permanent changes at this point in case we ever needed to go back to double
Right.
lane, but
And that's where the package A hybrid conversation came in.
So if the council's not wanting to move forward with this, my recommendation is for me to work with the contractor tonight. Tomorrow, figure out what those costs are. We take care of the issue there. We take this back to DKS, have them run the numbers for north and southbound and see if we can make it an actual single lane and not just deal with the east-west, which they already said we could, but to see if they can run some numbers on making the north and south down to single. We re-notify all the residents and all the businesses around there that the construction is not going to be happening tomorrow with a door hanger, and we move on. That would be my recommendation. If council doesn't feel that these are good enough improvements, that we move in that direction.
What happens if we continue to move forward in this direction and then later do the traffic study to see if it's feasible to do one lane going the other two directions?
I think you've got part of the work done for you right now. If you do that and you do the study and it comes back, then would be closing this north and southbound to make it those lanes similar to what you got on the east and west is probably what you would see out of that.
It also gives us an opportunity to see if it's going, how the reaction of the individuals who are used to going that direction, how it flows, I guess is what I'm trying to articulate.
Right. So
I wonder if that would be more
I'm
confusing.
open. I'm not setting any ways. I just want to make sure that we communicate with the public that we've already notified, that we communicate with the contractor, that we stop the work and we move on. And I would just, if that's what council wants to do, I'm fine with it. Or if the council wants to do this and then do the study, I'm fine with that too.
Cool. Other thoughts by counselors?
I guess I'm pretty easygoing.
So we don't know the sunk costs right now versus the the total cost.
What I can tell you right now, the work that's on this, that the bolded areas with candlesticks is about 35.8. If we were to redo this whole roundabout and restripe it the way it is now, included in that, it's another $49,000 on top of the 35 to make it look good in thermoplastic. Now we can actually restripe it for a lot less is what we're planning on doing out of our normal striping funds. But the improvements here in bold with the candlesticks are 35.8, I think is what the contract price is. So they got thermoplastic, they got a ton of signs probably, they got legends they purchased that we're gonna have to pay for that. I think there was probably, I forget the number, but it's probably, there's quite a bit of just material cost.
But we can take that material and use it on other projects, I'm assuming.
You might be able to use some of the thermoplastic, but they put it down. You don't buy it, they put it down and we don't have the machine to actually use it there. You might be able to work with them putting it someplace else in the city, but you're still gonna have to bid it.
Or if we come up with an alternative plan, we can say we already have some of your materials for you.
Greg, so in this plan, by my understanding, candlesticks means that we're putting plastic yellow sticks up around.
Yep.
God, so I vote no. I don't want. We're not voting, but I don't want. I'm not in favor of any plan that uses candlesticks.
So it would be like probably look similar to what you saw coming off at Twalt and Sherwood Road when they first built Langer Farms down there in the turn lane.
Yeah. That's. I'm not. That's not on my wish list. That's my perspective. Other Russell, you've been quiet. What do you think?
First and foremost, I know this has been a frustrating project for Public Works for a number of reasons. It's, taken us, I was talking to Kristen about this the other day, and I just thought, wow, I can't believe it's taken us so long. If we were going to do something because it was a safety thing, it seems like we should have been on it like way sooner. But whatever the reason for that is, it's water under the bridge. I agree with council. I don't think it's the right choice. I think that, I think maybe, we made a mistake. We didn't pay enough attention to what was being done, or we didn't ask enough questions. I think we should take that responsibility, and we should pay the contractor whatever I trust that Craig will be fair with them. And that's what I think we should do. And then we should pause and get those confusing markings off the pavement before someone drives onto the Jimmy John sidewalk. And then we just kind of see how it goes. For 2 years now, it's, as far as I know, the chief might know better. I think it's been fairly accident free, but I don't know. I kind of agree. I agree with, I don't want the candlestick things at all. Not really. So.
With the candlesticks, you can't sweep around there, so just build up a mess.
I think for me, I want to get this fixed, but it's a cliche, but I think you go with the devil that you know. And I think that people know this traffic circle and it's not great, but I'm very concerned that this could be more confusing than others. This is, I'm worried about this one for some reason. Something just doesn't feel right about this. Just coming from 1 lane to 2 lanes and having that split, it feels like we're going to get people freezing up in this traffic circle. And I hate the idea of having to pause this and eat the sunken costs, but I just don't think that this is it.
Thanks, Sean.
I would agree also, and I would be concerned with moving forward with this as is, and then doing a traffic study and then redoing it yet again. I think for the public that would be even more confusing as changing and then changing again. And so it's an unfortunate situation, and but I think we have to pull the plug at the moment.
I agree.
Sorry, Craig.
Sorry, Craig. Yeah, and I just echo what Russell was saying. There was a clear lack. We should have been more directive at the end of that last meeting, just based on reading the meeting minute notes. So, no fault to you or your staff. We just want to make sure it's done right. You guys do a great job, and I really appreciate all the hard work you guys do throughout the community. But I would rather pause this, eat the sunk cost. I would just add, I would be interested in finding out what it would cost to do a traffic study, and just understand what that looks like. Don't have to go out for a formal RFP, but just get some rough numbers to know what we would be looking at if we were going to take another look at it.
And that would be for the north, south, east, and west, everything.
Yep.
So I just need a little direction from you guys, exactly like that, what you want. We're not going to move this back and forth between departments. I will work with DKS to come up with that, and we'll bring something back to you.
That would be awesome.
I think that sounds great.
Things stop for tomorrow, and we'll go from there and figure out the quantities and stuff that we need to pay, and we can move on.
Take it out of Tim's paycheck.
Out of Tim's check. So, okay. No, that's.
I thought that's the mayor's paycheck. It's in the charter.
That's a little larger.
You got targeted first. That's all I'm saying.
So that's what we'll do here is we'll go back and figure out what it's going to cost to do the traffic, to do a complete study with future businesses here, short term or whatever. Single lane roundabout is what you're wanting all the way around it if we can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Craig.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, kudos. Appreciate it, sir. So for 6 minutes, just a general conversation. We're gonna kick off the Festival Plaza project. It's in the urban renewal district. But in the city side, we can talk about the planning. Kristen is going to put a committee together similar to what we did for the Cannery Plaza. I'll be the liaison, but we want to hear from council both today and when you interact with Kristen or give me a shout, is ideas that you want to throw into the mix to the committee when they look at it, of things to consider that could be pretty cool to consider when we plan that. And Tim suggested, and I think it's a good suggestion, at the same time, think about doing this. What things should we do to improve the alley of that block, with the idea that maybe hopefully even extending any type of improvement, i.e. like lighting, for instance, to the adjoining blocks.
So,
Tim?
I'm raising my hand. There you go. I'll put it down. So with all due respect, Mary, you're not selling the added idea very well. So let me paint a picture. So everyone knows the promenade that runs along City Hall out toward Oregon Street from First Street. So the kind of vision and the idea we were kicking around is extending that promenade ultimately all the way to Memorial Park, through the alleys, and creating a sense of place through that whole thing. And since we're working on the festival square, it makes sense, at least for that block, to look into, do we do it all at once? And if you think about it, we can do things like create a common enclosed trash area where all the businesses can put their trash, so it's not out all over the place. But if you can imagine, it would allow restaurants to extend their patios in the back. You can imagine string lighting going across the alley and public art. And I think it really adds something to our downtown area. It would enhance the sense of place that we already have. And I think it could be a wonderful thing. So anyways, that's how I would sell it, Keith.
Certainly the collective challenge for those blocks is you truly cannot extend the promenade as the other block, because it's still an active roadway for vehicles. So that has to be part of the mix. But
yeah.
So the original idea for obviously the Festival Plaza, and we'll name it something as well. So names are certainly welcome, of making a big open space that when it's not being used for an event could be used for parking. So it would have some sort of paver, heavy duty paver approach to help with stormwater, and maybe different colored pavers to designate where parking can be. Look at what to do to modify those trees. Maybe just have something that's less dirty, but still a green element. Public art. And Sean.
Well, I just had a question. So talking about extending that promenade between the Legion and the City Hall there across right through the alley, and so making it a consistent look straight through. Is there anything that we can potentially look at on moving the crosswalk from where it is at Railroad Street up to that walkway across the promenade, get it off of that three-way intersection and put
That's a great idea.
there?
That's kind of cranial effort. That's good. Excellent. Yeah. Doug?
Just one thing popped into mind. I mean, all these I agree with. The one thing popped into mind about the plaza itself is I liked everything you said about it. I also thought it would be cool to have, some signage, some historic markers about, maybe with some old pictures of the theater and the history of the theater and whatnot that used to be there. Kind of tie that. I love history, so I always love old photos and stories about things. So that would be that'd be kind of cool to me to have that in the corner of it.
Yeah. So I came across, artistic bollards that could be kind of cool because, I'm kind of a fan of bollards, so people know where to enter and exit the times where there are vehicles going in there. In theory, maybe, and I don't know if this makes any sense, but you could do some taller poles and almost have rigging to put a canopy type across big sections and doing tents. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where that's been done, if that makes any sense.
I would just add on the promenade side of that it also potentially creates a solution for the seasonal street closure issue. So if you have really nice atmosphere where restaurants can extend in the back with a patio, that's a year-round amenity for them as opposed to just something seasonal and we can keep the streets open.
Yep.
Could call it Robin Hood Plaza or Theater Plaza.
Yep.
How about a Sherwood Forest Park?
Nothing like a concrete park.
Well, it's always good to toss out ideas and
That's code from Keith for I hate that idea.
Yeah, I agree. Let's toss out that idea. Toss it right out.
Toss it out.
Toss it out.
if we want a Sherwood Forest, we should probably buy up some land and have a bunch of trees in it. So we have to ask the witching hour is 7 o'clock. We don't have to stop necessarily, but Kristen, you want to talk about the committee and how you did it for I think you got members from both Parks Committee and the Arts Committee, right?
Yeah, we did. We had a couple representatives from Cultural Arts Commission, I believe, and Parks Board, Council Liaison, Public Works Liaison, so that we were thinking about maintenance and impact to maintenance.
Yep. And involve the businesses and Old Town merchants to be able to give, not necessarily be on the committee, but certainly be involved in their input. Awesome.
Any reason we can't have 2 council members as liaison? There's several of us that have a lot of passion around this project.
That's code for Tim saying, I want to be.
Yes, it is.
Oh, thanks for volunteering me, Tim. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll talk. Probably we can have a couple. And if anybody else is interested, let me know. Awesome. No, this is going to be great. It's going to be a nice community feature. And absolutely. All right. So with that, if it's all right, we'll adjourn the work session and we'll go to the city council meeting.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Guys.